This happened a few years ago. I was 30 and pretty used to my routine. My friend Jenna invited me over to help set up for a Halloween party at her childhood home. I thought it'd be a nice break from my usual work as a freelance graphic designer. Little did I know, I'd never stop thinking about what happened that weekend. Jenna's house sat at the end of a winding, leaf-covered driveway. It was an old Victorian-style place with creaky floors and drafty windows. There was a big backyard, too, with an overgrown garden that looked wild. We decided to check out the attic first for decorations. That's when I noticed a doll sitting alone in the corner. It was dusty, with faded pink cheeks and glassy eyes that felt like they were watching me. I brushed it off, telling myself it was just an old house. But the weirdness really started to kick in. I remember setting up one night when I heard children's laughter echoing through the halls. I thought it was just my imagination. I asked Jenna if any kids were around, but she shrugged and said the house creaked a lot. Yet something felt off. The doll seemed to move a bit. I could swear it was in a different position the next day, but Jenna said I was imagining it. The tension grew as the party date approached. The laughter echoed more and more. It always felt right behind me. My heart raced whenever I heard it, and I found myself looking over my shoulder. But there was nothing but shadows. I began to feel anxious and restless in the house. When the party finally happened, everything felt normal at first. Friends were laughing, the music was playing, but I couldn't stop glancing toward the attic. I just had this nagging feeling about that doll. The vibe in the house felt heavy somehow. I asked Jenna again about the laughter, but she laughed and said it was all in my head. Later that night, I sat alone for a moment, trying to catch my breath. I felt something cold brush against my leg. I looked down, but there was nothing there. My stomach tightened. That doll. Maybe it wasn't just a toy. I felt I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I needed to leave. As I stepped outside, I heard that laughter again, but this time it felt closer. My skin crawled. I looked back at the house, but everything remained dark and still. I couldn't shake the sense that something had changed. Now, I'm left wondering about that laughter. Was it real or just in my head? Nights pass by when I still think of that doll, and I really wonder what happened in that house. Maybe it was all my imagination. I wish I could forget about it, but it lingers like an echo in my mind, waiting to surface again. The days turned into weeks, and as Halloween neared, I couldn't shake the memories from Jenna's house. I found myself avoiding any mention of it, but deep down, a part of me was drawn back. Something about that doll continued to gnaw at me. One afternoon, feeling brave, I decided to visit Jenna. Perhaps a chat would help. But as I pulled into her driveway, the house loomed larger and more intimidating than I remembered. The air felt thick, almost charged. I hesitated, but I pushed through, reminding myself it was just an old house. Jenna greeted me at the door, her smile warm as always, but I could see a flicker of concern in her eyes. "Hey, you okay?" she asked, sensing my unease. "Just thinking about the party and that doll," I admitted. Jenna chuckled, brushing it off. "Don't worry about it, just a spooky old toy." But the laughter in her voice felt forced. To distract myself, I offered to help her set up for another small gathering. The attic was the last place I wanted to go, but I found my feet leading me up there anyway. The air was cooler there, and it carried a smell of mildew. I scanned the room nervously, and that's when I noticed the doll again, perched on a shelf, staring back at me. But something was different. It was no longer alone. Next to it was a picture frame, covered in dust, with a faded photo of a little girl holding the very same doll. I picked it up cautiously. The child had dark hair and a crooked smile. My heart skipped as I realized she looked eerily similar to a girl in a neighborhood magazine article I had read years ago. The headline spoke about a tragic accident that happened in Jenna's house when she was just a child. I turned to Jenna, who had stepped into the attic behind me. "Do you know who this is?" I asked, breathing heavily. Her face paled at the sight of the photo. I think that's Clara, my childhood friend," she replied, her voice trembling. "She used to play with that doll all the time." Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The laughter I'd heard weeks ago reverberated in my mind, loud and clear. But now it sounded different, darker, more sinister. I glanced back toward the doll, and it felt like the eyes were boring into my soul. I found myself backing away slowly. Then, with the force of a whisper, I heard a child's voice, soft yet distinct. "Help me." I froze. My heart raced as I scanned the attic, adrenaline pumping through my veins. Was I losing my mind? Before I could process what was happening, I felt something brush against my shoulder, icy and fleeting. I spun around, but the attic was empty, except for Jenna, who seemed as startled as I was. "What was that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Jenna shook her head, terror filling her eyes. "We need to get out of here." As we hurried down the stairs, the laughter echoed around us, now seeming to swirl from all directions. I couldn't ignore it any longer. Whatever was in that house, it wanted something, and I was desperate to find out what it was before it was too late. As we stumbled down the hallway, Jenna and I exchanged frantic glances. Every footstep felt like an intrusion, an invitation for whatever presence lurked in the shadows to come closer. The laughter was getting louder, a mocking chorus that made my skin crawl. "Did you hear that?" I whispered, not trusting my own ears. Was it real, or just the product of my overactive imagination? Jenna's face was pale, her voice trembling. I can't take this. Let's just go." We reached the front door, but it wouldn't budge when I twisted the handle. Panic surged through me. I pulled at the door with more urgency, my heart thundering. What the hell? Why won't it open? Jenna froze behind me, her breath hitching. I turned to her, and in that moment, I noticed something strange. The doll was now visible through the window, somehow closer. Its head turned to watch us. I blinked, thinking I must be imagining things, but it was unmistakable. It wasn't just the distance, it seemed to have moved. "Jenna, we need to get out," I shouted, my voice slicing through the silence. She nodded, pushing against the door with me. After a few desperate attempts, it finally creaked open, and we tumbled out onto the porch. The air outside felt fresh, but that sense of relief was short-lived. The laughter faded, replaced by the sound of a faint cry, a child's cry now echoing in the distance. "Help me," it pleaded again, and chills ran down my spine. "Did you hear that?" Jenna asked, eyes wide. I nodded, absorbing the dread pooling in my stomach. Where is it coming from? Against my better judgment, I followed the sound, moving cautiously down the steps. Jenna hesitated, then reluctantly fell into step beside me. The yard was dim, and the trees cast long shadows across the grass. Suddenly, something caught my eye, a figure darting between the trees. It moved fast, a glimpse of a little girl, her dark hair bouncing as she vanished from view. My breath caught. "Did you see that?" I whispered, feeling my heart race again. "A girl?" Jenna said, her tone a mix of disbelief and fear. It can't be. Clara? The realization sank in. Clara was the girl in the photo. But why had she called for help? I scanned the trees, feeling a mixture of fear and curiosity. "We have to find her," I insisted. Jenna shifted uncomfortably, looking back at the house. What if it's dangerous? Ignoring her hesitation, I pressed forward, propelled by something deeper than fear. The cries became clearer, more urgent. They seemed to guide my steps, filling me with a chilling determination. "Wait," Jenna said, grabbing my arm. "What if it's a trap?" Just then, the leaves rustled behind us. I turned, heart pounding. The laughter returned, but this time it wasn't distant, it was right behind us. I whipped around, my eyes darting through the darkness. We were no longer alone. "Run!" I shouted, but as we turned to flee, the ground beneath us trembled and everything went dark. The last thing I heard was the sound of a child's laughter echoing into the vast silence. When I opened my eyes, the world around me was cloaked in shadows. I blinked, disoriented. The cool ground pressed against my cheek, and I pushed myself up, gasping. "Jenna?" My voice trembled as I scanned the area. I saw her a few feet away, groaning softly as she sat up, her hair covering her face. "Are you okay?" She looked up, fear etched on her features. What just happened? I struggled to recall the last moments before everything went dark. The laughter, the figure darting through the trees, and then nothing. I don't know. We need to move. We stood awkwardly, the thick silence surrounding us, heavy and pressing. The faint cries for help seemed to linger in the air, unanswered. It was like a ghost pulling us forward, yet I felt paralyzed by fear. "Which way do we go?" Jenna asked, glancing nervously around. The darkness felt alive, and I could almost sense it watching us. The sounds, they were coming from that direction. I pointed to our left, instinct pulling me toward the trees. Jenna hesitated, biting her lip. Before I could push her to follow, I saw it, a flicker of light deep in the woods. It was faint, almost like a candle, but it danced erratically. "There!" I exclaimed, my heart racing. "We should check it out." Jenna frowned as she followed my gaze. "What if it's a bad idea? We can't stay here," I urged. The cold knot of fear tightened in my stomach. With every passing moment, I felt the presence from the house creeping back. We had to keep moving. Reluctantly, Jenna nodded. We crept toward the light, the damp earth squelching beneath our feet. The woods felt eerie, the shadows stretching and swirling. With each step, the light flickered brighter, illuminating an old wooden swing hanging from a gnarled tree. As we got closer, I could see it wasn't just the swing. It was the little girl. She was sitting there, tranquil, her hair falling over her petite shoulders. Clara! The sight sent chills coursing through my veins. "Clara?" I called softly, my voice trembling in the still air. She looked up slowly, her expression unreadable. "Help me," she whispered, her voice sweet but laced with an undertone of despair. "They won't let me go." My heart raced as I registered the unease in her tone. "Who won't let you go?" I asked, feeling more terrified by the second. The swings began to sway slightly, as if moved by unseen hands. "The dolls," she replied.
"They're here with me. They keep me safe. You have to help me." Jenna's hand slipped into mine, her grip trembling. "This isn't right," she muttered, scanning the darkness around us. I felt it then, a chill creeping up my spine, a sense of danger pressing down on us. Just as I opened my mouth to ask Clara more, the laughter erupted again, a cruel cacophony that caused both of us to jump. "We need to get back!" Jenna exclaimed, her eyes wide. But before we could turn away, Clara rose from the swing, her small frame seemingly growing taller. "You can't leave," she said as her voice shifted, a deeper tone emerging. The air thickened around us, and suddenly the trees felt alive. Then everything went dim, the shadows rushing in, swallowing the light whole. "Jenna, run!" I shouted again, but Clara was already lost to the darkness, replaced by the laughter echoing around us. In that moment, we weren't just escaping a little girl or a haunting voice. We were running for our lives, hoping we hadn't wandered into something we couldn't escape. I bolted through the trees, Jenna close behind me. The laughter rang in my ears, a haunting melody that pushed me forward. I didn't know where I was going, but anywhere was better than this suffocating darkness. Stop! Jenna yelled, her breath hitching behind me. We can't just run blindly. I skidded to a halt, heart pounding, and spun around. We have to. If we don't move, we're sitting ducks. The trees loomed like twisted giants, their branches clawing the air, and I could feel my resolve beginning to crack. Look, Jenna said, her voice shaky. We need a plan. We should find somewhere to hide and think. She scanned the darkened woods, her eyes wide with fear. I took a shaky breath. Okay, but we can't stay out in the open. We moved cautiously, darting between the trees, adrenaline pumping in our veins. Moments later, we spotted a fallen log, its bark rotting and moss-covered. I pushed Jenna behind it, crouching low. "Do you think we lost them?" she whispered. I shook my head, but before I could respond, a rustle echoed nearby. We froze, wide-eyed, listening intently. The laughter faded, but the shadows seemed to absorb the sound and amplify it. I could barely make out the whispers, an unsettling melody of voices blended with soft giggles. "We need to see what's going on," I said. Jenna's face paled, but I knew we had to know. Holding my breath, I crawled to the edge of the log and peered around. What I saw made my skin crawl. A group of dolls stood a few yards away, propped against tree trunks, some with cracked porcelain faces. Their glassy eyes seemed to stare right through me. And in the center was Clara, her small form now unnaturally still. "Look," I whispered, pulling Jenna closer. Clara was holding one of the dolls, cradling it.
The soft hum of a lullaby floated toward us, and I felt goosebumps prickling my arms. The other dolls began to sway gently, as if responding to the eerie tune calling from Clara's lips. "Is that her?" Jenna stammered. "Why is she with them?" "I don't know." My stomach twisted in knots. "But whatever this is, it's not good." Just then, Clara spun around, her head tilting unnaturally. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice childlike yet cold. "You'll ruin everything." Without warning, the dolls turned in unison, their empty gazes pinning us down. The air crackled with tension, and the laughter surged back, louder and more cacophonous than before. "Run!" Jenna shrieked, and we scrambled back behind the log. My heart raced as we ducked low, the sound of brushing leaves rushing toward us. "Where do we go?" Jenna gasped, panic swelling in her voice. I had no answer. The woods felt like they were closing in. "We have to find a way out." As we crouched, I glanced over my shoulder, desperate for a hidden path. That's when I saw it, a faint shimmer in the distance, light filtering through the leaves, beckoning from deeper within the woods. "Jenna," I whispered urgently, "the light! We need to get to it." "Are you sure?" she asked, her face pale with doubt. But time was slipping away. We don't have a choice. We scrambled from our hiding place and darted toward the glow, not daring to look back. The shadows swirled behind us, scrambling for our heels. The laughter faded, but lingered in the edges of my mind like a ghost. I didn't know what awaited us at the light, but one thing was certain. The deeper we ventured into this nightmare, the more it felt like we were following the pull of something far darker than we could comprehend. We sprinted through the dense underbrush, branches snagging at our clothes, but I pushed forward. The light flickered in the distance like a candle, drawing me closer. My instinct screamed danger, but the seductive glow promised an escape from the oppressive darkness that chased us. "Are you sure about this?" Jenna gasped, her breath coming in quick pants. I nodded, desperation fueling my decision. "We have to keep moving." We rushed towards the light. Each step felt heavier, as if the ground was trying to pull us back. The laughter and whispers faded into the background, replaced by an unsettling quiet that pressed down on us like a heavy fog. As we neared the source, I saw it, a small clearing bathed in silver light, surrounded by trees that seemed to bow down toward it. At the center, an old rusted swing hung from a low branch. I stepped into the clearing, hesitating for a moment. "Are you seeing this?" Jenna whispered, her voice a mix of awe and fear. "Yeah, but why are we drawn here?" I murmured. I felt a chill creep down my spine as
if the air itself was alive, watching us. Just then, a soft giggle echoed through the trees, sending a shockwave of dread coursing through me. I turned to Jenna, fear knotting my stomach. "We need to get out of here, now!" Before we could turn back, the swing creaked, moving gently despite the stillness around us. I could see the ghostly outline of a figure, a small child with wild hair, swinging back and forth. "Clara!" I shouted, panic rising in my throat. Could it be her? But she shouldn't be here, not in this strange place. The figure stopped mid-swing, its head snapping in our direction. I could make out familiar features, but there was something off about the way the eyes glinted, as if illuminated by an unnatural light. "Help me!" the figure cried, her voice sweet yet laced with something more sinister. It was Clara, but not the Clara I knew. This was no innocent child. "Come play with me!" An icy chill swept over me, paralyzing my legs. I could feel Jenna tense beside me. "Don't," she whispered, "it's a trap." But I couldn't take my eyes off Clara. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves, and with it came a chorus of laughter, sinister and melodic, echoing around us. "Come on," I urged Jenna, gripping her arm tightly. "We can't stay here." The swing started moving more vigorously, the light flickering with each swing back. The laughter rose, filling the clearing, surrounding us. The trees seemed to stretch higher, their shadows dancing along the ground as if to trap us. "Don't look at her," Jenna cried, shaking my arm. "Just move." Snapping out of my trance, I turned and bolted. The shadows reached for us, their fingers grasping, but I pushed through, dragging Jenna along. The further we ran, the more distant Clara's ghostly giggle became, yet the laughter of the others echoed in our ears relentlessly. We stumbled past the edge of the clearing, desperation fueling every stride. But the path split ahead. One way continued deeper into the woods. The other led back, where I could still hear the faintest echoes of Clara's calls, still beckoning. I hesitated, feeling torn. "Which way?" I shouted. "We can't stay in the middle." "Take the right," Jenna urged, tears threatening to spill from her eyes. I didn't question it further. We veered right, plunging into the dense undergrowth once more. But then we stumbled into something cold and hard. My breath caught in my throat. It was a stone wall, covered in vines with symbols I didn't recognize. I turned to Jenna, panic rising. What now? That's when I heard it, the laughter, closer than before. I felt a new dread settle deep inside me. We were out of options and running into dead ends. Something was coming for us. My heart raced as the laughter grew louder, echoing off the stone wall. We were trapped. I pressed my back against the cold, damp stones, hoping they would absorb some of my increasing fear, but the laughter felt like it was invading my very soul. "We have to find a way through," I said, glancing around wildly. The wall loomed over us, ancient and immovable, climbing far above our heads. Jenna's eyes widened, scanning the darkness behind us. "What if it's them?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "What if Clara isn't the only one?" I swallowed hard. The thought made my skin crawl. The idea of something else lurking in the shadows paralyzed me. I crouched down, searching the base of the wall for any cracks, any sign of a passage. That's when I felt it, a strange, cool breeze flowing from a gap in the stones. "Over here," I called, kneeling beside the opening. Jenna rushed to my side, her eyes darting nervously between the gap and the shadows expanding around us. "What if it leads nowhere?" she asked, her voice shaking. "It's better than standing here," I replied, glancing back towards the path we'd just taken. "We don't have a choice." Before I could hesitate any longer, I crawled through the gap. The chill of the air enveloped me, laced with a slight sweetness that seemed out of place. Jenna followed closely behind, pressing into the narrow space. Once we were through, we emerged into a small, dimly lit tunnel. My heart sank as I watched the flickering light at the far end. It felt so much like the clearing we had just fled, but this was more confined, more like a twisted corridor between the worlds. "What is this place?" Jenna whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "I don't know, but we need to keep moving," I urged, pushing forward despite the unease that gripped me. The tunnel seemed to stretch forever, the light at the end shifting with every step I took. As we approached, a figure materialized, silhouetted against the brightness. It was tall and slender, casting a long shadow along the floor. I squinted, trying to get a better look. It wasn't Clara, but something felt familiar. Then the figure stepped forward, and I felt like I had been punched in the gut. "Hello, dear friends," it said, its voice smooth yet chilling. My breath caught in my throat. I recognized that voice. It belonged to someone who had always been there, someone I once trusted. "Margaret?" I whispered, my mind racing. But it was hard to place that name against the twisted smile stretching across her pale face. "What are you doing here?" Jenna stepped in front of me protectively. "You shouldn't be here. This isn't right." "Oh, but it is," Margaret said, her eyes glimmering with an unsettling light. "You've come just in time for the real festivities." She raised an arm, and I felt the air shift, the shadows pulling closer and wrapping around us. "Run!" Jenna shouted, lunging back the way we came. But I hesitated, my feet glued to the ground. All the warmth from the outside world felt far away. "Why are you doing this?" I yelled, desperation spilling from my voice. The memories of laughter and joy made my head spin, contorting into something vile and grotesque. Margaret's smile widened, and for a moment I felt a pang of longing for our past. But then everything shifted. Her voice lowered, darkened. "Because it's your turn to play." And then everything went dark. My eyes snapped open, but I found myself consumed by an impenetrable darkness. I felt a strange weight on my chest, as if the air itself had thickened. Panic surged through me. Where was I? I reached out, my fingers brushing against something cold and smooth. Stone, it felt like. I pushed myself up, straining my ears for any sound apart from the rapid thud of my heart. In the silence, I heard a faint whisper, carried by the air that felt almost tangible. "Help." "Jenna?" I called, my voice a desperate whisper. "Where are you?" I heard what sounded like a scuffle to my right, and I turned instinctively towards it. "Jenna, are you okay?" "I'm here," she replied, but her voice sounded distant. "I can't see anything." "I can't either," I admitted with a shiver. Then I felt it, a chill creeping around me, swirling like a living entity. "We need to find each other." "Just follow my voice," she urged, "but hurry." I started moving, dragging my hands along the stone, searching for any sort of warmth or connection.
With every step, the whispering intensified, wrapping around me like fog. It felt like 1,000 voices murmuring secrets I wasn't meant to hear. Suddenly, a sharp gasp drew my attention. "Stop! Don't come any closer!" Jenna shouted. I froze, heart pounding in my ears. "What are you talking about?" I whispered back, fear tangling in my gut. There's something here." I strained to see, but found no light. Then, from the darkness, I saw a flicker, a pale glint that pierced the void. My pulse quickened as I recognized the familiar outline of Margaret standing between us. She was watching intently, a predator circling its prey. "Isn't this fun?" she asked, her voice dripping with mockery. "A game of hide and seek in the dark?" "Get away from her!" I shouted, stepping forward, wanting to shield Jenna from whatever malevolence Margaret wove around her. But the ground shifted beneath me. I stumbled, feeling an invisible force push me back. I collided with a wall, pain shooting through my shoulder. I cursed under my breath and tried to scramble closer to Jenna, but Margaret locked her gaze on me, eyes glimmering with a feral delight. "You're not ready yet," she taunted, a sinister smile stretching across her face. "You need to learn the rules first." "Oh God," Jenna breathed from the shadows. "What does she mean?" "Just stay close," I yelled back, my voice cracking. I had to find a way to break through this suffocating darkness. But everything felt like it was slipping away, like grains of sand falling through my fingers. Then, from somewhere behind Margaret, a shadow emerged, blending into the darkness. It was another figure, more menacing and larger. My heart sank as dread flooded my veins. "Who else is there?" I whispered, my throat tightening. "What do you want from us?" "The game has only just begun," Margaret replied, her voice echoing around us, intertwining with harsh whispers. As the second figure stepped closer, revealing features too monstrous to comprehend. I stumbled backward, urging my legs to carry me back to Jenna, but the shadows surged forward. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying to wake up from this nightmare. But all I heard was the laughter that had first lured us into this trap. Then, in my mind, I saw it. Images flashed of Clara and darker memories, and I realized we weren't in control. This was just the beginning. The air shifted, thickening with an oppressive sense of dread. I opened my eyes, realizing I hadn't awakened from a nightmare. I was still trapped. The chill surrounding me seemed to pulse with malicious intent. I heard the scuffling again, closer this time, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was slowly closing in on us. "Jenna, can you hear me?" I shouted again, my voice echoing in the dark. "Yes, but I think something's moving out there," she gasped, panic setting in her voice. Another whisper floated through the air, drawing my attention. "Help us," it called, a cold, twisted echo that slithered around my ears. "Who's there?" I asked, irritated and scared. "Show yourself." The darkness seemed to thicken, as if mocking my courage. I tried to search for Jenna again, hoping to grasp her hand, her warmth, anything to ground me in this chaos. I took a few steps forward, calling her name, but something grabbed my ankle, a cold grip that sent shockwaves through my body. "What?" I screamed, yanking my leg away. My heart pounded, and I pressed my back against the wall, forcing myself to breathe. I couldn't panic now. It was exactly what they wanted. "Let's play together," the whispers chorused. "Stay close, stay safe." That's when I remembered that strange flicker of light. I squinted into the darkness, willing myself to focus. I took a hesitant step toward it. "Jenna," I called again, praying she was still nearby and that whatever was stalking us wouldn't find her first. A flash of movement caught my eye. I turned just in time to see Margaret slipping closer. shadows swirling around her like a cloak, her eyes shining with an unsettling glee.
"You're making this too easy," she said, her voice low and teasing. "Get away from us," I yelled, feeling a surge of adrenaline. "What do you want?" But as I took another step toward her, the second figure loomed larger behind her. My breath caught in my throat. This creature was unlike anything I
had ever encountered. Its frame twisted and sinewy, glistening with what looked like dark, dripping shadows. "What are you?" I hissed, instinctively stepping back toward the wall. Margaret leaned closer, her face alight with dangerous excitement. "Oh, they want you to join in? To play your part? Why fight it?" "Join in what?" I felt my knees begin to tremble. A sudden realization crashed over me. They were not just toying with us. They were feeding off our fear, drawing their power from every ounce of terror coursing through my veins. "Don't listen to her!" Jenna shouted from somewhere in the darkness. "We can't play their game." "Too late," Margaret hissed as she glanced at the creature beside her. "The game is already underway." My mind raced, trying to find a way out. I had to make a choice, a diversion, something. That's when I spotted it. Glinting metal near my foot, a piece of broken glass. Before I could think too much about it, I lunged forward, instinctively grabbing it. I had to protect Jenna. But just as I turned back, the shadows thickened, suffocating the space around me, and I realized the stakes were higher than I had thought. Someone screamed in the darkness, not Jenna, and in that moment, everything went still. I jolted awake, gasping for breath as the familiar scent of damp earth filled my lungs, mingled with the distant echo of laughter. My heart raced, but I wasn't on the cold stone floor anymore. I sat up, blinking at the soft twilight filtering through the trees. Jenna lay beside me, stirring, her face pale in the fading light. "Jenna," I whispered, fear creeping back into my chest. She groaned and slowly blinked her eyes open. "What happened?" she muttered, shaking her head as if clearing away the remnants of a dream. "Where are we?" I glanced around. We were back in the woods, but it felt different, quieter. The oppressive weight of darkness had lifted, though hints of it lingered beneath the surface. I think we escaped," I replied, the words coming out slowly. "But I'm not sure how." Jenna sat up, her gaze darting nervously. "The dolls, Clara, did we really see that?" I couldn't shake the memory of Clara's voice, the shadows closing in. "I don't know," I replied, my stomach churning. It felt real, but some parts, it's all muddled. Just then, the laughter pierced through the stillness again, but it was different now, fainter and almost playful. It sent a shiver down my spine. "What if they're still watching us?" I asked, glancing at the trees, feeling the prickle of eyes somewhere in the shadows. "We have to go," Jenna said, her voice resolute. She got to her feet, pulling me up with her. "We can't linger. I don't want to find out what else is out here." We began to walk, unsure of where to go, the path stretching before us like a gnarled finger beckoning us forward. The ground was soft, beneath our feet, each step feeling both weighty and light, a passage into a world filled with ambiguity. "What about the house?" I asked as we meandered through the trees. I couldn't rid myself of the haunting memories of Jenna's Victorian home, of the doll and the laughter ringing in my ears. Jenna paused, gazing back toward the direction from which we had come. "I don't know if I can go back," she said, her voice trailing off. "What if it's still holding on to those memories?" The shadows shifted, and for a moment, everything felt heavy again. I thought about Clara. Was she still trapped in some part of that house, waiting for help that would never come? The thought tugged painfully at my heart. As we ventured deeper into the woods, The singing climbed with a peculiar cadence, as if celebrating our departure. Was it joy, or was it mocking us? The uncertainty gnawed at me. Eventually, we found a narrow clearing, and I felt a surge of relief. The sky above brightened as dusk colored it with shades of purple and indigo, fading the shadows of the woods slightly. "Let's rest here for a moment," I suggested, my body aching from all the adrenaline and confrontation. Jenna nodded and sat down on one of the larger roots that twisted above ground. I followed, leaning back against a tree, trying to catch my breath. "Do you think we're safe now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I hope so," I replied, but my heart weighed heavy with doubt. What if that was just a phase of the game? What if they're waiting for us to let our guards down? The laughter flared at the edge of my mind, distant yet persistent, like a song that would never fade away completely. I watched as a small breeze danced through the branches above us. Leaves rustled with a sound that almost resembled giggling, and I couldn't help but feel a chill of uncertainty creeping back. After a moment of silence, Jenna turned to me. "Do you think what we saw was real?" She bit her lip, searching my face for answers. "I don't know," I admitted, my insides churning again with unease. It felt real, but the line between what's real and what's imagined is blurry now. We sat in companionable silence, both processing the chaos we had escaped. I thought about the doll and Clara. Were they waiting for us to remember? Waiting for us to come back? As night began to wrap the world in darkness again, I felt it, a faint tingling sensation creeping up my spine. I turned my gaze, just as the laughter rose once more, softer now, but unmistakably there, like an unfinished melody echoing through the trees. Jenna must have felt it too. I could see the tension in her shoulders return. "We need to get out of here," I urged, pulling her gently to her feet, "now." As we hurried out of... I couldn't shake Clara's voice from my mind. "Help me." It blended with the laughter, morphing into something even more compelling. I didn't know if we could ever truly escape. We moved quickly, scanning the woods for a way home, the laughter still Twilight's shadow, forever lurking, as questions boiled in the back of my mind. What would happen to Clara? Would the house remain untouched, its whispers and shadows held within its walls? Or would we, eventually, find ourselves drawn back to that dark corner of the woods, forever entangled in a game we didn't fully understand? I glanced back one last time, feeling the weight of unseen eyes resting on us. The echo of laughter danced through the trees, a haunting reminder that some stories were never truly finished. Some places were never really safe.